the Utah Jazz. Oh boy.
Mhm.
What did the Jazz do? What did the Jazz do? Because I don't know.
I love Rudy Gobert. I think that Rudy Gobert, he was my defensive player of the year. I think that there are a number of reasons why he has become, and I don't personally care about underrated, underappreciated that much because it's an immaterial distinction, but I think that his brand is a little bit worse now than it should be. Even so, Rudy Gobert, including a player option, owed 167.7 million over the next 4 years. That's about 42 million a year. If a team thinks that they're willing to pay him that, then you try to make a move there. And I think that there I don't know the full deal with Rudy and Donovan Mitchell or anything like that. I can't judge on that because I don't know enough. But and Gobert is a heliocentric defender. He is what makes their defense work. So if you're doing that, you might be making your team worse. But I already talked about you'd rather be the team that makes the move a little bit too early than too late. And if Utah makes that move too late, they might be in a real difficult spot. So I would do it, see what you can go in a different route. And it might end up being, it probably would be that the Jazz are worse for it. But unless the offers are just so horrible, I would try to make that move now.
Would you try and move Donovan Mitchell as well?
Not right now. I think that
Okay.
Mitchell, you want it. I mean, he has, so this coming year, then 2 more fully guaranteed years, then a player option. Mitchell has not grown the way that I hoped, and he grew a lot better than I hoped in the early years. Like, the idea that he is now like to be clearly behind Devin Booker in the like young shooting guard power rankings. But he's still young, he's still good. And so it's the opposite of the Gobert thing. So with Gobert, I said, unless the offers are terrible, I would move him. With Mitchell, unless the offers are ludicrously strong, I would keep him.
The problem that I'm struggling with Utah is just I don't know how you move Rudy and stay competitive. Right?
You could stay like, I mean, the question is how competitive are they now? Like, so if the goal is to be a team that makes the conference finals, I don't think the Jazz are there right now anyway. So are you crying over milk that has already been spilled? And if the goal is to make the playoffs to be a first round exit, they can probably get there with a worse Gobert or even just being, I mean, they were the number one offense in the league this year. Like, you could be the number one offense and still be a mediocre defense and still be relevant if that's what ownership is willing to do. But they'd be worse for sure.
What is the deal that makes sense? I have for Rudy. This is I have one that I've been kind of thinking about.
I've been thinking about Charlotte a lot, and that could potentially involve the triumphant return of Gordon Hayward as salary ballast. They could also theoretically do it involving Terry Rozier, who I actually really like the Terry Rozier Donovan Mitchell fit. If the Hornets were willing to go in that direction, so you do that, and then probably so that's the primary salary. If you can get Bouknight Jones or Thor in that deal, and then, or actually, I would really love Jalen McDaniels. I think McDaniels would be a really nice fit with the Jazz. So you do that kind of stuff. I mean, they have 13 and 15 if you can get a pick there. But honestly, the biggest thing is just kind of a reorganization would be that the Hornets are my favorite for that reason.
If you're Atlanta, are you willing to do Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter for Rudy Gobert?
Hunter's about to get properly paid, or at least close to it, because he's extension eligible. I think Gobert is meaningfully better than Clint Capella. And you need, so the reason that Gobert is valuable for the Hawks is you can't run a switching system with Trae Young. Like, so you're going to be looking for a Gobert type. I like a Kongwu, but I think Hunter is going to be a good pro. I don't think he's going to be like a top 5 wing at either position, like however we're defining it.
Yeah.
So if that's the cost, I think as the Hawks, I would do it. And I think as the Jazz, I would do it.
That one makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It adds defensive versatility, length, and athleticism to a Jazz wing core that desperately needs it. It significantly upgrades Atlanta's defense, which, I mean, good Lord, that defense just needs some help. If there's a point guard that can really actualize Rudy, I mean, good Lord, is it Trae Young? Like,
Yeah.
just throwing constant lobs, constantly probing the defense. Like, it's going to open up the court for both of them at such a high level. If I was both of those teams, I really think that's the thing that makes it work. It keeps Utah relatively competitive, and it puts Atlanta into a different space, I guess is what I would say.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you need to add or subtract from either side of that. Like, I almost think that just like works on some level is a core. Like I would do that. Let's say that Utah does not move Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell, because that seems like a real potential outcome here to me. How do you build around those two and try to make it work, given what we've seen so far?
It's hard because what they need are wings, and there aren't that many available. And the Jazz do not have a lot of flexibility when it comes to assets or financial. Like they're over the tax right now, so they're tax pyramid level. Maybe it's like bring back Daniel House and hope that Daniel House can be better or something like that. It's tough. Like, and that's a part of why I would consider a Gobert move, is that it's hard to do it. Maybe you talk to teams about Conley and Clarkson and Bogdanovich, and the answer is if anybody gives you a stronger offer than you expect, then maybe you take it. But I don't expect the market to be robust for any of those guys, which is part of why 2 of those 3 contracts I disagreed with at the time. And so that's
Yeah.
it's that sort of risk.
Yeah, what I'm struggling with a little bit with them is I just don't even know how to properly assess the value of Jordan Clarkson or of like Bojan Bogdanovic, right? Like, to me, Bojan is the one that like you could actually move. Bojan is still pretty good at basketball, and Jordan Clarkson's good at basketball too, but Jordan has his limitations. Bojan's just bigger, and I think that you can sell yourself on him being a part of like high level playoff lineups regularly. I wonder if you could move him for like a more defensive version of Boyan somehow. I just don't know who that guy is, I guess, is what I'm
It's a
struggling with.
challenge. And how much are you sacrificing offensively to bring in somebody who is ideally a better defender than Royce O'Neal, but is going to duplicate Royce O'Neal? So like, this is why I was opposed to the Jazz bringing in Jeremy Grant at the deadline. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, Grant is better, but how much better versus what it's going to take to get him?
Yeah. And then the Jazz also don't have draft picks this year. Realistically, like, they're young guys that they've kind of missed on them. I feel like Udoka Azubuike got hurt this year, obviously, but I thought that was a wild pick in the first round.
Mhm.
Jared Butler, is, he was, an injury concern, let's say, coming into his pre-draft year. And I don't know how many teams will jump at the possibility of getting him. They traded for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That was the thing that they fucked up, I felt like, was not moving the Ingles contract for something that could help them defensively in the playoffs this year. I wonder how different the conversation is regarding them if they had not like prioritized going to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who might not be good at basketball.
It's a fair point.
Like, it feels like that was a tangible, weird choice. I don't know. Do you have anything else on Utah? It just feels like such a strange. I don't know what they're gonna do, I guess,
They're
is
going
my
I
thing.
feel like they're going to do something, and it's going to shock me, but I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah. Wide, that one's wide open. And the thing about Utah is it completely has a chance to like upend the offseason too.
Mhm.
Like, it's such a critical chess piece of the rest of the NBA's offseason. What does Utah do? They're one of the teams that could like legitimately, tangibly change the course of the offseason. Like, if Donovan Mitchell, for whatever reason, would go in there and ask out, I don't know what Utah would do in that case.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting him to do that, by the way. Like, I'm not.
No, and if I were Utah, I would say give us one more year, and then because he's not even close to free agency, and
Yeah.
if he makes a real stink, then you listen, but you see, you're not going to do an offer that just like makes you a lot worse.
Yeah. No, I agree.